Speaker's Corner is where we believe every voice counts. It's where ordinary people can have the opportunity to express themselves, to make meaningful contributions to debates on issues that affect them within their community. With that in mind, I introduce this month's topic: is social media the best means for galvanizing social justice in Nigeria and across the world? With me to discuss the topic today are two very well-known, very erudite personalities, very active on social media. To my left, we have Miss Viola Okoli. She's a social commentator. I follow her very much on social media. She writes, she's a blogger, she's a writer. She writes for online publications, and she's very active in social media. So she's going to be proposing the topic. Viola, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay. To my right is Mr. Stanley Bentu. He's also very active on social media. He's a producer for a radio station. I won't tell you which one now. He's also into entertainment, music, and the media. So he's also well versed. So he's going to be telling us about, he's opposing the motion. So he's going to be telling us a little bit about some of the negative aspects of social media.
Good afternoon all, and welcome to our debate today. I want to support the notion that social media is a veritable tool for galvanizing social change, e-advocacy. Most times when people ask us what we do on social media, we say, oh, we are just commenting, we're social commentators. But the fact remains that we use the tools of social communication to try to get people to think, to harness their thoughts, to marshal their thoughts, to look at issues that perhaps are not convenient for us, are not working for us the way they ought to, and try to provoke change. Sometimes that change might be just at the level of reasoning, it might be at the level of ideology, it might be at the level of action. Might not be aware of exactly what is going on. You have to wait until the press, whom we all know is either controlled by one side of the divide or the other side of the divide, puts their acts together and maybe prints their reports the next day. But now we're getting the information as it is happening online real time. So if you need to start moving to get something done, you can move immediately. That is one aspect, creating advocacy or awareness. The second one is to organize people. You can use, for instance, if I want to have a meeting right now and I need to get 100 people for that meeting, I must have the phone numbers of 100 people. I must know how to reach them, maybe communicating by letters, letter writing, by going to visit them and things like that. It might be difficult to draw 100 people. But when I have a platform that gives me access to so many people all over the world, in a split second, I can have 100 signatures. So that is the second bit, organizing. And then you have the third bit, social media, action and reaction. Action or reaction. You need to take action on something. How do you move? You need to react to something, a move by government. How do you move? If you wait until you're able to contact everyone individually, you're going to witness a little bit of problem because, like we have said before, the cost. How are we going to get people to move? It is actually a tool for driving social change. What does he do? You bring together classified information. If you have access to classified information, you want to blow a whistle. Whatever it is you want to do, you want to expose something that is detrimental to the citizens, you put it up on that website and people have access to it. I think that for us, social media is here to stay. It is a tool that helps us to get our message across. We need change. We need to find a situation where things that happen around us are not detrimental to our development, to our growth as individuals, as a society, as a nation. We have these tools at our fingertips. You can't say, oh, I don't have money to organize a campaign. No, you have the social media at your fingertips. And the good thing about it is that most times it translates from online activity into real life activity, like the Occupy Nigeria protest, like the current Bring Back Our Girls protest, and a host of them. All of them started online and we're able to move offline into real time where it really matters. Thank you very much.
We've heard from Viola, so now let's give a chance to Stanley to tell us what he thinks about that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 2 million signatures does not translate to 2 million votes. And I want you to remember that. Just because you were able to get someone to sit behind his computer at his convenience at the end of the day to say, hey, I'm just going to push a button, does not mean that you can get him out on the street to foster that kind of change that you want to see. That kind of change only comes from commitment. And where does that commitment come from? Certainly not necessarily from social media. And I will tell you, my co-debater mentioned certain things, and I was very happy that she did so. One of them, the England riots. That's how dangerous social media can be. These were riots. And do you know why those riots happened? They happened because the people who reacted did not process the information that they were getting. And that's what happens in social media. You get a barrage of information, but you are not taught how to process it properly. And why? Because social media is not regulated. There is no quality control. If you look at traditional media, television, print, radio, before you even begin to practice, you would have to be some sort of professional, right? But in social media, anybody can get behind the computer, get something to go viral, and that's it. And guess what? That means I can destroy your reputation right now. And all I need is your name and a whole bunch of pictures that belong to you. And I can say anything about you and get it to go viral and get action to be taken against you. Is that the kind of medium that you want to use for social change? So social media can have a downside, and based on that downside, we can't allow that to be our catalyst for change. And why did Occupy Nigeria come to an end? Has any of the social media users asked that? It didn't come to an end because social media stopped tweeting or retweeting. It came to an end because the labor unions went back to work. So it was not social media that was driving Occupy Nigeria, it was the labor union. People who had the commitment to go door to door to get those signatures and get people out on the street. How many of you have heard the name Emeka Nnamdi? Sorry, I'm a bit old, so I need to hold papers. Emeka Nnamdi. This was a gentleman who was arrested just about 2 months ago. And you know what he did? He would open up Facebook page using the names of big politicians. Senate President, Speaker of House of Representatives, one governor or the other. And he would invite young ladies to interview for a job. And when they come, he would ask them, he would demand favors of them. Sexual favors. And some of them who probably did not have the moral grounding would give in. Now, just because you do not have the moral grounding does not mean that you are or you should be blackmailed. But he would have this encounter recorded and he would threaten that if this young lady did not pay him money, he would publish these photographs on the internet or in social media. Certainly, photograph of a naked woman, it will go viral. Doesn't take much to do that. And that's what will happen. Now, is anything that we have to do worth the reputation of this young lady, worth the damage that can be done to anyone, even people innocently? I don't think it is. I think we need to check ourselves and subject ourselves to media that can be passed through the scrutiny of decency, common decency.
We've heard arguments for and against social media this afternoon. Now, this is the time where we ask the audience to tell us what they think about social media.
My name is Mani Ikbebe. I'm a lawyer. Well, I've listened to both arguments, and I will say both of them have been well canvassed. you cannot run away from the brilliance with which Viola used to convince us that social media is the change we want. And the seeming brilliance also that Stanley also used to put social media down, if I will say. but by and large, social media is here to stay. Yes, it is here to stay. And in my own summation, I'll say social media is actually a double-edged sword. You know, it slashes both ways. It has actually helped in time past to actually galvanize action, create awareness, and bring to consciousness to the society. A certain Barack Obama rose from nowhere and became the first black president of the United States. And his success was largely based on the use of social media. His Yes We Can campaign was anchored on the social media. Then what Stanley said about the conventional getting onto the streets and doing that, if anybody has seen the biopic on Nelson Mandela's life, which Idris Elba starred in, The Long Walk to Freedom, at the point when Nelson Mandela wanted to create awareness, you know, gather at town square, galvanize people, put them on the street, and lead them, you know, run, boycott the whites, sit down in their buses, enter into white-only places. He didn't use social media to do that, but he still had action.
Although the social media has had a very rough path, just like Uncle has said, but I would like to align myself this other way. Because for the chief fact, let me not mention the histories of people back. Today I can stand and speak courtesy of LinkedIn. I joined LinkedIn, and there are some groups from professional speaking groups. I read the speaker tutorials and everything. From it, I began to build confidence to hold a mic and speak like I'm speaking to you. So, on the other hand, I think the aspect of good and bad is normal. There is what they call yin and yang, balance in everything. We cannot reject the day because night is coming. That is the truth. Now, the day and night complement each other. What we need now is how to regulate people to use social media justly. So, the advantage far outweighs the disadvantages. The advantages of life far outweighs the disadvantages of death.
Good day all. My name is Amadine Uyi. I'm a correspondent with Silverbird TV. This discussion is bringing many different angles. I would not like to sit on the fence. I would like to align myself to a certain position. And I would like to say boldly that I align myself to the position that states that social media is a catalyst of change. So we must understand that the world is a global village. And whether we like it or not, social media drives that notion that the world is a global village. It has its disadvantages, but I believe strongly that those who fear the impact of social media are those who do not want to tell themselves the truth.
So I think, you know, at this point in time, yes, the young people can use it, but we must come out so that the politicians will feel our anger. Because you can post anything, I can decide not to read it and delete it. But when you mobilize to the National Assembly and they see the number of people, it makes a lot of difference. So I think that, yes, it's a good tool for the young people, but as a best means of attaining social change, not yet. Because even in the US, Main Street and Wall Street, they were occupying space. It wasn't Twitter, they were physically occupying the space. In Washington, they camped very close to White House. So anybody going to the mall will see these guys with their tents. So social media is good, but I think that human physical activity would make a lot of difference. Thank you.
It's not actually the best, but it's actually one of the most effective. Because in times past, if you notice, as she put it, there's like a dichotomy in between. There's the old generation and the young generation. The young generation right now actually look towards the social media for any form of news. Right now, as we are, in the present scenario that we're in, social media is actually a very effective means. So I have to align myself with
the argument for.
Social media has really helped because in the time past, we need to carry dusty books to read for our exams. But right now, it's just for you to log online and you have the instructors' lectures all online. But right now, our parents will say, are you reading your book at all? But we as the children, we always say, Mommy, I'm reading. But they want to see you in the library or the study room. In our time, social media has come to stay. It's all based on who is with the tool of information. Is it with the good person or the bad person?
If we recall very well, a governor said to a widow, go and die. And we said, no, madam, it is not yet time for you to die. And we all remember what happened. It wouldn't have been possible without social media. So I would say that it actually processes information, which can then lead to physical representation. Thank you very much.
So you can retweet all you like, but the best catalyst for social change goes beyond. Social media is a good tool. It's an effective tool. The best, I am not sure.
I would like to thank all of you once again. I hope you were educated, enlightened, empowered, and entertained. I look forward to seeing you at our next debate. But before I end, let's find out what the consensus is today. Do the A's have it or do the nays have it? If you say, if social media is the best catalyst for social justice in Nigeria, say A. A. Okay, if you don't think it's the best medium, say nay. Oh, the nays have it for today. Thank you and see you at